Okay, here is another Bessey-Miller collaboration that I thought I would share with you. And I will add a link in the description below to a document that contains Werner's original routine that I've based my routine on. So take a look at that. I will also add a link to an entire library of ebooks featuring hundreds of mathematical card effects as well as general math-based magic. So take a look at that. Okay, so for this effect, we're going to pull out, we have the ace through king of hearts, of course, as you can see. And then we're going to pull out the queen. She's going to be a helper card. Now you have the spectator randomize the cards as much as they would like, have them mix them thoroughly. And then the cards need to be dealt out into 3 piles of 4. These remaining 12 cards here. So the spectator can do all of this. Okay, just have them deal them out. 3 piles of 4. Okay, and now what the spectator needs to do is randomly choose any one of the piles, pick it up, look at the bottom card. Oh, that's a nice one. King of Hearts. Okay, so that is the card that they need to remember. I won't see this, or you're not supposed to see it as the performer. Then have them set that pile of 4 on top of either one of the 2 remaining piles, and pick up that bigger pile and set it on top of the remaining pile of 4. Okay, and then from there we're going to take the Queen of Hearts and place her on top. Now, since we both know quite a bit about this packet as far as the organization of it, what we're going to do is we're going to be choosing random numbers between lucky 7 and unlucky 13. Okay, I don't have a spectator here, as you might guess, so we're going to have to rely on a die roll to get our random numbers between 7 and 13. Now, because of the die roll, we'll only get up to 12, but that's fine. In practice, the spectator can actually choose 13, and that would be just fine. Okay, so what we're going to do is, whatever the die value is here, we'll add it to 6. Okay, so that will give us values 7 through 12 that are possible. Okay, and so we're going to do this several times. Now, this is actually just mimicking what the spectator would do, because when you go to do this, you have the spectator randomly choose different numbers. If they would like, they could all be the same, I suppose. Different numbers between 7 and 13, but we'll use the die here for the performance and tutorial. Okay. So we're going to add that to 6. So 5 plus 6 is 11. Deal out 11 cards. 1. Okay. And then we're going to do it a second time. 4 plus 6 is 10. And then we'll do it a third time. 3. 9. These are kind of orderly here. Okay, so you've chosen 11, 10, 9 so far, actually. Okay, so as you saw, that was by chance. Now, at this point, since you've chosen 3 of these numbers, I thought I would try to bring my magical influence into the process by also choosing a number, or my favorite number, between 7 and 13. And I actually do have a favorite number between 7 and 13. And it's the number 10. And there's many reasons for 10 to be anyone's favorite number, but it is mine. Okay, so I'm going to deal out 10 cards. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and now we can start. Okay, so these cards have been randomized beyond the knowledge of anyone, and more importantly, no one could have anticipated what the values would be that would lead to the particular organization of the packet right now. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to call on the Queen of Hearts to help us find your card. Okay, and we're going to do that by simply spelling Queen of Hearts. Okay, so Q-U-E-E-N, drop the rest on top, O-F, Drop the rest on top. Hearts. H-E-A-R-T-S. Okay. Did we find your card? Well, let's find out. Now, of course, you as a spectator will know that yes, indeed, that is your card. And me as the performer will also know that it's your card because this is magic and it always works. Okay, so we found your card. That is unbelievable. But we can do better than that. This randomly chosen card among the 13 will now find for us the Queen of Hearts. Do you believe that? In some ways, you shouldn't, because that should seem nigh impossible, since this was indeed random. But let's see if in fact the King of Hearts can help us find the Queen of Hearts. Okay, so I'm going to just spell King of Hearts. K-I-N-G, drop the rest on top. O-F, drop the rest on top. H-E-A-R-T-S, drop the rest on top. Was the King of Hearts able to find the Queen of Hearts? Let's take a look. He was indeed a true match made in heaven. Absolutely inexplicable. Okay, so how does this work? Well, it is self-working. The spelling, Queen of Hearts, and then the spectator's random card, that is Werner Miller's contribution to this particular routine here, which is wonderful. So take a look at his original effect. Let's talk about this choosing of random numbers between 7 and 13. Okay. Now this is using the idea of off-centered overcoding. And I will add links in the description below, and that is a big subject. You could, in fact, I have many videos talking about it. So for that reason, it is in fact a big subject, but a very powerful one. Okay, and I'll point you to the original publication that introduced this idea to the world. Okay, so let me just tell you that I used the principles of something called triple overcoding to pull this off. Okay, so let me just explain what this is, and this will work for you. You won't really have to understand everything behind the theory of this. What I'm providing for you right here now will work immediately. Okay, so you don't have to be a mathematician to use this at all. But if you're wanting some understanding, here it is. The packet of cards before we started dealing out cards, a certain number of cards to mix them. If you remember, we had the Queen of Hearts on top, and then we had 1, 2, 3 indifferent cards. We don't know what those were. But then we had the spectator's card. So if you go back to the beginning of the routine and build that packet as I showed you, you'll see that it has this structure. Queen of Hearts, 3 indifferent cards, the spectator's noted card, and then 8 indifferent cards. So in fact, if you want to grab a deck of cards and actually set that up and then follow along, that might be a good way to go to understand the rest of the explanation here. So what I want you to focus on right now is, given the current organization of the packet, we need to preserve the first or top 5 cards where they are. So this block of cards needs to be returned to the top, and it also needs to be returned as organized here. Okay, otherwise this effect will not work. The spelling out of Queen of Hearts and then the spelling out of the spectator's card to find the Queen of Hearts won't work. We need this. Okay, so we need to find a way to mix this and bring it back to the same organization. Well, that's what we're doing down here. So the idea here is that 4 random numbers between 7 and 13 can be used. So we have the spectator choose any number between 7 and 13. We can call it A. They're free to choose any second number between 7 and 13. It may be the same or it might be different. It was different. So in ours, I think it was 11, then 10, and then 9, crazily enough. And then for the third number, denoted by C, it can be any number between 7 and 13. Okay? Now, after I had you supposedly, or the die, supposedly choose 3 random numbers between 7 and 13, I said, wow, with you making all of those choices, maybe I should be allowed to make at least one choice here. So let me choose any number between 7 and 13. Now, secretly, I knew that my number needs to match the second number the spectator chose. So I just need to remember what was the second number. So they had 11, 10, 9. So I needed to give 10 as my supposed random number or favorite number between 7 and 13, which is what I did. So I kind of made up a little bit of a story as to why 10 is my favorite number. And there's a lot that you could say about 10 since our entire number system is base 10. Okay, so I went with 10. So all of this together, if you do it, it will bring this packet back to this ordering. Now the reason for that is we're only trying to preserve the top 5 in their current location. So as long as that first number, A, is 5 or bigger, in fact, it's going to be 7 or bigger, we'll move that group to the bottom as a block. Now, once that group is at the bottom as a block, we can view it as a off-centered overcoding routine in which we are free to deal out any number of cards, B and C, as long as the values of B and C, when added, is at least as big as the packet size, which is 13. Well, we're not allowing our numbers to be anything smaller than 7. So the smallest these can be is 7 each. When added, they give you something bigger than 13. So any numbers between 7 and 13 can be used here as long as the first number and the last number match. And then the middle number can be any number, as long as it's a value that when added to B, it gives you at least 13. Well, it will be, because C has to be larger than or equal to 7, as does B. Okay, so the requirements for an off-centered overcoding that will bring this entire block, because it's been moved to the bottom because of the first dealing out, to bring that to the top, those conditions have been met. And then from here, that's where Werner Miller's spelling procedure will finish the job. So that's some of the background I just wanted to explain to you. The spectator truly can choose a number between 7 and 13 for the first 3, and then you need to do a little bit of acting and choose that same number that matches their second selection. And then all of this will work perfectly. So thank you for watching, and take a look at other videos on the Absolute Math Magic channel.